Okay, a good Vach to everybody. Um, this is really tomorrow is opening day for Sichas Chulin, but tonight there's the picture of one of these immortal pictures that we have to go ahead and share with you. So we begin on Tez Zayin Amid Aleph, 2 lines from the top. Amamar Hashoichet b'muchani. If someone shechs with a muchani, which is a type of wheel apparatus, shchitas like a sheira, it's a good shchita. Fred Gemara Vatanya Shchitasai Psula says Kasha Ha Besarna de Pachra Ha Besarna de Maya. If you're shechting with a wheel of a person who makes molds, who plays with clay. If you ever see clay, they spin it around and they form it as the clay is going around. They form it with their hands. That would be considered a good shchita. But if it's al yidei maya, it's not a good shchita. The reason being that you need koyach gavra, guys, with zavachta. You need the person to do the action. And if it's the water doing the action, doing the shchita, so it's not going to work. So again, how this looks, this is a classic. Here we go. Opening day for Sichas Chulin. This is he's working the wheel. That's the key. You see, he's working the wheel, and the wheel, you have a knife, and you have an animal. And now with this, it's going to shecht. And that's considered what? Koyach Gavra, because it's working from him. That's where Shchitas Kshera. Where Shchitas Psula is where it's a water wheel. He opens the gate, the water goes down, and as the water goes down, it causes the wheel to turn, and that causes the shchita. So that is not considered koyach gavra. That's considered groma. He caused it, but he didn't do it. So that's you get a picture of what this thing looks like, okay? Says the Gemara, the Iba Yasema, hava habesarna demaya. It's speaking about the water wheel, and still I can have a hechatim to that it's kosher. V'loy kasha, it's not shver. Ha b'koyach rishon, ha b'koyach sheni. Okay, what does that mean? Let's look over here. If when he opens up the gate and the water starts to flow, right away the shchita takes place, it's considered his koyach. But if the water is flowing and it takes, let's say, 1 or 2 circles for it to do the shchita, then it's the water doing it. So it's possible to have a shchita with a water wheel, a mill of a water. It's immediate. If it's immediate, then it's considered koyach gavra. If on the other hand, it takes place later on down the line as the water begins to flow, then it's considered a groma. And it would be what? It would be not a good shchita. As the Gemara proved. Amar Rav Papa. Haiman de katfe lechavre, a person ties up his friend, va'ashkal aleha bitka demaya, and he causes a gush of water to come upon him, umes, and the person dies, chayiv. What's the reason? My taima, giri didehu. It's considered, giri is the lashon of shooting an arrow. It's considered his force. So, Nasan Tezayin Amid Aleph, about 8 lines down. So it's considered his force. He's going ahead, he opens up the gate, the water shoots out, and immediately it's killing him. He's physically not doing it, but there's something. That's not groma. That's considered be a dayim, fellas. That's considered be a dayim. Right? My time agiri day huda hani bay. V'hani mila b'koyach rishon. If it's the immediate koyach. Avo b'koyach sheni, then if it's koyach sheni, the water is going down, and it's the water that's causing it more indirectly from him, then grama ba'alma, who it's considered grama. So again, we have the stira in Mishnayos. Yes, Harold.
This is a curious question. If a guy does it remotely, because Manenu guy does use technology and does it remotely, a shchita, is it a good shchita, or is that grama, or is that his koyach?
What do you mean remotely? How would that work?
In other words, he controls the system goes on, and the blade is right on top of so it's sitting on top of the trachea of the behemoth, so now he press it and boom, it cuts the does the shchita.
I would think if I don't know how do you view that connection. If you view it immediate that he caused it, or is it considered a grama? I would not know. I don't know the answer to your question.
Okay, I was just curious. That's it.
Yad?
What?
Don't you need shchita b'yad?
You see, not like that. You see, you need shkita, you need koyach gavra. That's what you need.
Oh, so then this is not koyach gavra, according to what Heshi is saying. B'chlal not.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure because as soon as you push that button, it happens. We just had a case where you have a water wheel. If immediately if you cause the water to gush out and the shchita takes place immediately, that's considered koyach gavra. So maybe pushing the button is considered
It's
koyach
also
gavra.
koyach. It's also koyach gavra.
But I don't know how to view the transmission. No, it's along the way if that's considered grum or not. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. But we're going on, Hesh, and I'm not going to lose sleep. Yosef Rav Achure the Rav Chia Rav Chia Kamei the Rebbe. This is a triumvirate that we've been seeing many times. Rav's uncle was Rav Chia. Rav Chia was a Talmud of Rebbe. So Rav saw Rebbe. Rebbe we know was a Tana. So again, Rav went ahead and he went over that area. You know, he lived a little bit in both, in the area of the early Amoraim and the last of the Tanoim. So we have Rab Chia sitting in front of Rebbe and Rav sitting in front of in the back of Rab Chia. The Yosef Rebbe v'kamar minayin l'shchita shehu betalosh. How do you know shchita has to be when it's something that's disconnected? How do you know that it can't be something that's connected? Shenemar, it says by the Akedah, vayikach es hamacheles l'shchit. Avram took the macheles, the knife, to shech. So we see shchita is done through a knife that Avram Avinu took. That's what Rebbe said. Amar Rav Reb Chia, Maika Amar. So Rav said to Reb Chia, what did he say? In other words, meaning there's two possibilities. He didn't hear him because he was behind him, or how does that explain that it has to be betalish? How does that explain it has to be betalish? So Amalei Rav Chia told Rav, Vav diksiv ufsa kamar. He said a vav that is written on an ufsa. Guys, picture a piece of block of wood and picture going against the grain. Picture the grain of wood. Instead of going, let's say, this way, you're going this way. So you're going to get like jagged as the goes down, you're going to get jagged, right? It's not going to be smooth. So in other words, he's saying something that's not correct. That's what Rav Chia said to Rav about Rebbe. For Hakra Amar, so how could he say that that's not a source for Talush? Rebbe quoted a pasuk. On that, the Gemara says, "Cross Yizusa de Avram." The crow is just a Kamash Malon. It's telling us the zeros of Avram Avinu that Avram was being Mizaris. It would be very good, guys, with the Gemara we saw Menachos. You might recall, why did Avram Avinu go ahead and chop the wood himself? Guys, we said that wood can't have toilas. It can't have a wood for a carbon can't have any worms in it. So Avram Avinu went ahead and he checked the wood. That's why Avram took care of the wood himself. So you see, Avram was so involved in the mitzvah. So it would be very geschmack that Vayikach Smachles. There's reasons Avram to do the mitzvah. Amarava pshitali talish ul b'seif chibroi. Okay, now, guys, what happens? We're doing the sugya mechubar. If something is disattached and then it's connected, does it have a din of what? Of connected or not? And we saw this a bit yesterday, right? We saw this the Machlokes Rebbe and Reb Chia, right? So if something is mechubar, it's mechubar. If something is disconnected and then mechubar, does it have a din of tolish? Does it have a din of mechubar? We're going to see it in three venues. We're going to see it by avodah zara. We're going to see it by hechshes royim, and we're going to see it by shchita. Now, albeit you would think we already saw it by shchita, right? But we might see a taisvis. Okay, says the Gemara. Pshita, it's pashit that tolish b'seif chibur lina avodas kachavim havi tolish. Guys, if you serve a mountain as an avodah zara, the mountain doesn't come asa. If you serve a tree as an avodah zara, it doesn't come asa. Something that is connected to the ground, it's only if it's disconnected, right? So it's pashit that something that you went ahead that was disconnected and you connected it, it's considered tolish and it's considered avodah zara. The Amamar, someone delves down to his own house, Again, you can't buy down to somebody else's house because ain't adam oisa dava sheina shaloi. You can't ask for something that doesn't belong to you. So if you bow down to your own house, asru. Guys, a house is tolush v'akach mechuber. Bisal kedai dechavi mechuber. And if you can tell me you can view it as mechuber, Elohayim Elohorim v'leyohorim Elohayim. It's the gods that are on the mountain and not that the mountain itself. So obviously it's a raya by avodah zarah pashit. That's something that is disconnected, connected as a din of tolush. Le'inyan hechsher zroyim, regarding hechsher zroyim, tanoihi. Hechsher zroyim we're familiar with, that a food, in order to be mekabel tuma, has to have one of 7 liquids. We've done this just recently, and therefore, in order to be mekabel tuma, it needs hachsharam. Whole mesechta called mesechta mashtirin that discusses this. Did 9. Hakoife ka'ara ala koisel. You're taking a kara, a plate, you're placing it on a wall, bishvil shetudach, in order to clean the plate. So now, guys, the water's hitting the plate, and from the plate, it's landing on food. Would you consider the food now prepared or not? The answer would be, does he want the water or not? Over here, he wants the water. Therefore, harizeh b'chiyutan. Therefore, the food that water falls on is now prepared to be mekabel tumah because he wanted the water to hit the plate. Bishvil shelo yilka hakoisel. He put the water on the plate that the wall should not be what? It should not be hit with water. So I don't want the water, guys. I'm using the plate as a barrier. I don't want it. Now it falls off and it hits the food. Ain't a b'chiyutan. It's not b'chiyutan. Good. Now, hagufa kasha. The halacha, the Mishnah we just said, it itself innately is shver. Amrid, on one hand, you said bishvil shetudach. You need that the water should hit the plate, right, to clean the plate in order to be machshir the food. Harizeh b'chiyutan. Habishvil sheyudach hakoisel. Ein zeh b'chiyutan. Guys, what happens if you want the water on the wall? So what you do is you take the plate next to the wall, and it's going from the water to the wall. So it's mashma. If you want to wash the wall off, it's not good. It's only if you want to wash the plate. Mashma, you want to wash the wall off, it's not. V'hadatani bishvil shelo yilka hakoisel eina b'chiyutan. If you want to protect the wall, then it's not b'chiyutan. Mashma ha bishvil sheyudach hakoisel. Mashma that what? That if the koisel to clean the wall, harizeh b'chiyutan. So you have a stira, the inference, guys. The reisha is what? Is mashma. It's mashma. I don't. If it's on the plate, then it's machsha. On the wall, not. The latter is if it's on the wall, yes. Guys, this is your machlokes tanoim. How do you view the wall? Do you view the wall? A wall is made from bricks. It's something that was tolush v'achach chibroi. So if you're going to tell me that the wall is what it's mokshel kabel toma, then it's because you hold that what it's tolush. If on the other hand you hold it's mechuber not, so that would be the machlokes tanoim over here. Says the Gemara, you're right. Tani b'shua. So habishul shudach hakoisel zebachiyutan. Rabbi Laza tavra misha shanazu leishanazu. The one who learned the reisha didn't learn the seifa. So the reisha that's learning, guys, that the wall is because it's mechuber. The one that says the wall, yes, it's because why? It is talish. Okay. Rav Papa says you have no raya. Rav Papa Amar kulachat tana. It's all one tana. It's all one tana. In other words, everyone holds that tolish v'achach mechubra is what? Is tolish. Everyone holds if it's disconnected and then connected, it's tolish. Everyone views that way, right? Says everyone views that way. Habikoisel ma'ara, habikoisel binyan. It depends upon the wall that it's falling upon. Is it the wall of a cave or the wall of a house? If someone goes ahead and is kaifa the kara on a kaisel bishvil shetudach, that it should get clean. Harizeh b'chiyutan. Ha bishvil sheyudach hakaisel ein zeh b'chiyutan. Okay, b'medav mamurim b'kaisel ma'ara, because why? It's mechuber. Only if you wanted to protect the wall. If you put the plate there, that is go ahead and get the wall wet. So in other words, 2 ways to learn. You can learn it's a machlokes tanoim, right? Or you can learn, no, everyone holds it's talosh, and describing 2 different walls. The wall of a cave is mechuber, wasn't man-made, and the wall of a house is man-made, and therefore it's considered tolish. Therefore, what? It's bechiyuta. Boy Rava. Tolish ul b'soif chibroy le'inyan shchita mai. Now, what are you talking about? Now, says Rashi, u'me'ahu de le'el le'mashmalei le'rava kidim mefarish v'yazal. The machlokes that we had earlier on Friday between Rebbe and Reb Chia, it's not mashma. As the Gemara will, as I can learn the Gemara a different way to say that I still have a shayla. That's why Rav is asking the question. Or else, what's the question? It's a moot point. We said Reb Chia said it's lichatchila. Rebbe said it's b'di'evet. Guys, Rav said it's Reb Chia said lichatchila, and Rebbe said it's afilu b'di'evet. Correct. So what's the shayla the Gemara raising right now? So Rashi is bringing and saying that, you know what, it's not mashma from that Gemara, as we're going to see, and therefore he's raising the shaila. Tashma okay, you had a rock that was coming out of the wall. It's mashma, guys, that this sur that's coming out of the wall, the assumption is that you connected it, is not a good shchita, right? It's not a good shchita. So we can be paishet the shaila, tolish v'achach kibroi. If it's disconnected and afterwards connected, it's considered mechuber. Again, you can't shech with mechuber, you have to shech with tolish. How to use something that was tolish and then mechuber? So we're assuming over here, when it says this rock was put in the wall, it was put in there, the assumption is it wasn't naturally there. Or a kana that grew, it's psula. You can't be paishet the shaila, guys. We're not speaking about a man-made rock in a wall. It wasn't placed there. It was there naturally. It was mechuber. Dekinami, it's speaking. It was mechuber. The tani dumi the kana oila me'elav shmamina. Guys, the kana, it grew by itself, right? It's considered mechuber. Yes, grew by itself. It's considered mechuber. Tosfos even says that if you plant it, it's still considered mechuber, because that's the normal way to do. That's the normal way to do. Tosfos says earlier that if you plant it, it's also considered. Me'elav is dafka me'elav. It's anything that you plant that comes up from the ground. As long as you didn't take a tree and put it in the ground, I think, it grew up from the ground. So me'elav geshmak. You can't be paishet the shaila from here. This is speaking about what? A mechuber. And we need tolish b'sayf chibroi. Tashma, noyetz sakin, b'kaisel, v'shachit ba, shchitasa k'sheira. Says the Gemara, shiny sakin d'lei mevatalei. If you put a knife in the wall, you're not mevatla to the wall, so it's pasha, it's considered tolish. Tashma, b'mechuba l'karka, we had this all before. Shechita k'sheira, if you shech with something that's mechuba l'karka, shechita k'sheira, and we were speaking about something that was what? Disconnected and then connected. Says the Gemara, it's not speaking about that. Dilma perusha kama. When it says my mechuba l'karka, sakin d'lei mevatale. In other words, in the same brisa, you said that the sakin was put. The sakin was sticking out of the wall. The sakin was sticking out of the wall, and that's pshat in mechuba l'karka. What's mechuba l'karka? The sakin sticking out of the wall. Okay, so memela, it's not a good raya to our shaila. Why? Because the sakin is not mevatel. We want to know you put something that a rock, a sharp rock that you stick in a wall and you do a shchita, whether it's kosher or not. So we want to know. We can't be paishet the shaila. So far, it's held serve. Amar noyed sakin b'koisel v'shachar b'shchilasik sheira. Amar Ravanan, Amar Shmuel, lo shanu elisha sakin. So we weren't paishet the shaila. Lo shanu elisha sakin lemaila v'tzavra behemo lemata. Now, the normal shchita, guys, is the shoichet is standing on top, the behemoth's neck is miskala to him, and he's shechting from top to bottom. So that we said, if you have a knife in a wall and you're doing a shchita, if you have a knife in a wall, you're doing a shchita, is speaking where the animal is below the knife. Aval sakin lemata, if the sakin is below, if it's savra behema lemaila, chashin and shema yidrois. But if the knife is below and the animal is above, and you're going like this, I'm scared that maybe the pressure is going to go ahead and you're going to be not doing Molech or Mevi, you'll be Daras. And Drasa is one of the Psulim. Now, you might remember that yesterday we said it to make a difference whether the knife is above or knife is below, right? This is
Upside down. Is that how the shechita is done?
Shechita is done. Yeah. Here's your picture. You know, if you guys have your book, if you have your book, open to picture 38A, 38 Aleph. I think I have in page Yud Ches. Nassim, open up your book. Should be page Yud Ches. You have the guy, you see the knives in the wall? So when does it work? It works on the right side because you're not going to have drasa. But the left side, we're worried that the pressure of the head is going to push down. So Shmuel wants to qualify this. Good? Guys, we're all on the same page, literally? Yeah? Okay, great. Now, yes, Hesh. Hesh, I can't hear you.
Well, what page I went to get it? I used.
Yud Ches.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, so now Shmuel's qualifying this din. Amar Avnan Amar Shmuel lo shanu that if you shech in a knife that's in the wall, isha sakin lamayla b'tzava behem lamata. Aval sakin lamata. If the knife is below b'tzava behem lamayla, then chashinan we're going to be suspicious shema yidrois. Perhaps we have to take into account maybe the downward force of gravity is going to cause drasa. Fred the Gemara, 1 second. Vokatani ben shasakin lamata v'tzava behem lamayla. Ben shasakin lamayla v'tzava behem lamata. We have a brisa yesterday. Guys, go back. Go back yesterday. Tesvav Amidbeis. You see the Taisus Ella? Okay, Ella Tzur. So Amrav Kahana Shleicha ben Mechub Lekaka Rebbe Poisel Rebchia Machshir Ad Kan Leika Machshir Rebchia Ella B'Diavad Lechatchila Loi B'Mayu Kimta Ki Rebchia El Haditanya B'Chol Sheichtim Bein B'Tolish Bein B'Mechuber Bein Shasakin L'Mayla B'Tzavar B'Heim L'Mata Bein Shasakin L'Mata B'Tzavar B'Heim L'Mayla. You could check that way. So what do? You just told me, Shmuel. This is a brisa, guys. Shmuel can't argue on a brisa. The Tanoim. Shmuel, you're qualifying and saying that if the knife is below, then it's not a good shechita. Here it says it is. Guys, you with me? Keep your finger on this place and get back. Keep it over there. Now go back to us. Says the Gemara. Right? Says the Gemara. We're going to learn litzstadin, meaning we're going to learn the following: Sakin lemata v'tzabehim l'mayla b'tolish. Sakin l'mayla v'tzabehim lemata b'mechuba. Guys, look back. Go back to the brisa. B'chol sheichtim bein b'tolish bein b'mechubar. Now the havamina is that tolish and mechubar is going on. Both of them are going on the next clause. Bein shesakin l'mayla v'tzabehim lemata. Bein shesakin lemata v'tzabehim l'mayla. So the havamina is, though whether it's mechubar or tolish is going on both clauses. Says Rav Zvid, no, let's stud in Ketani. If you're going, guys, if it's going from the knife is on top, then it's tolish, right? Then it can be mechubar. If the knife is on top, then it's mechubar. If the knife is on bottom, it has to be tolish. If the knife is on bottom, it has to be tolish. So look back now. Go back by us. Go back by us. Amr Rav Zvid, let's stud in Ketani. it's those two dinim, mechuber and talish. We're learning not on both cases we just mentioned. Each one is going on a different case. Lemata, sakin lemata, where the sakin is below. Vitsava behema lemaila, that's dafka betolish, because then you don't have to worry about drasa. However, sakin lemaila, vitsava behema lemata, b'mechubar, and where it's the sakin is on top and the behema is below, then it's speaking mechubar. So that's one teret. That's one way. But enochinami, guys, if the sakin is below, it can't work b'mechubar. If the sakin is below, it can't be mechubar. The sakin below will only work betolish. Again, the kasha was, you, Shmuel, are telling me that the sakin's below, right? If the sakin is below, you can't do it, right? If it's, right, it's not a kasha. Einachinami, if the sakin's below, it's mechuba, you can't do it. That Bryce is saying the sakin's below bitolush. It's speaking only, it's studin, only one, we're fitting in one to the other. Rapapa ama ba'oifid the kolo. That Bryce that we saw is not speaking about animals, it's speaking about what? A bird. A bird, you don't have to worry about drasa. Since it's very light, even if the shechita is done from below, it's okay. You're stuck in a wall, guys. You're stuck in a wall. Look at page your test. Look at page your test. So these shechita would be good because it's talish, right? By the animal, you see it's talish, that works. And by the bird, it could, even if it's stuck in the wall, it's going to work because you don't have to worry about what? About pressure. You don't have to worry about pressure since what? It's light. Back in the Gemara. Amar Rav Chisda, Amar Rav Yitzchak, V'imri lo b'masnitan Tana, Hey devarim nemru b'krumiyah shel kana. 5 halachis that we say regarding the stem of a reed. Ain't sheichten ba, you can't use it for shechita. Vein malin ba, you can't go ahead and do mila with it. Vein mechatkin ba basar, nor can you cut meat with it. Vein mechatzitzin ba shenayim, nor can you go ahead and pick your teeth with it. And certainly you can't go ahead and use it as a toilet tissue. Good? Now, the reason for all these things is, fellas, that a reed is going to crumble and you're going to end up with splinters. So if I shecht with it, it may go ahead and make the animal a treifa. If I go ahead and pick my teeth with it, you're a gaktet saris. If I do mila with it, you're basically, you might kill the kid. And if you use it for toilet paper, you got real saris. Okay, so this is the hafemin of the Gemara. Says the Gemara, 1 second. Ain't sheichten ba? You said you can't go ahead and use it for shechita, but tanan ba kol sheichten. You can do shechita with any implement as long as it's sharp. Bein b'tzur, bein b'schuchas, bein b'krumiyah shel kana. So it says you could use the stem of a reed. On that, the Gemara answers, "Amar Papa b'simuna de agma." This, what you do shechita is simuna de agma. Rashi says is dried out. It's one piece and it's not going to crumble. So in other words, this krumiyah shel kana is nukimta. It's a very, very, very special kana. It's not a carte blanche statement. Any kana you could use, adarabba. Most kanas you can't use because they're going to maybe cause a treifa. This that our Mishnah said you could use it is speaking what? It's speaking about the one that's called simuna da agma. It's called a swamp reed. Ve'imechatkin babasa. You can't cut again because it goes in the basa. You may have a sakana. You may have splinter in your meat. Right? He went ahead and he used it to cut fish to zigi. Rashi says, guys, zigi is clear. There you go. There's a source for an English word, clear. It was very clear, so therefore you could see if there was any splinter, you'd be able to see it. Right? Rabbi Bar Avchuna, mechatich ba'oifa, he would cut a bird with the using reeds. The rachich, because its meat is the meat of a bird is tender, it's very soft, and you don't have to worry about the reed splitting and having what? And having splinters in your food. And you can't go ahead and use it as toilet paper. Fred the Gemara, why do you have to come on that the reed is going to splinter? Someone who wipes himself with anything that the fire can take hold of. Sheinov noisharois. Sheinov seems to be a lower part, some type, what's the teeth of the lower part of his anatomy is going to go ahead and you're going to have tsaris, not because of what? Guys, not because of splinters, but because of kshafim. It seems that in those days you had kishuf that you had to worry about. We're not speaking about you're wiping your underside. We're speaking about wiping a makkah. So your underside is because of you can't wipe yourself with something that the fire could go ahead and take hold of, such as a reed. But you could go if so. The reason they were saying over here mekaneach is you can't be mekaneach a makkah, but your underside is for a different reason. Now I just have some interesting stuff on this halacha, guys. Listen to this. Sam Seifa says the Chaim Seifa. Kinuach pimako kaminan ayin magen avram. The sakanta de shinayim noishrois. When we speak about the sakana of teeth, hainu al yidei kshafim. We're speaking about what kshafim ubizmanehem shahoyu mefanim besodeh. And that was in that time where they would defecate in the fields. They went to the fields. And in the fields, there were all kinds of demons and different kinds of ruach ra. So they had to worry about mekaneach with anything that a fire could take hold of. Aval bismanaz, this is Magen Avram. Aval bismanaz less lamba. You don't have to worry about this. V'ayin Teres Chaim hiksha. Teres Chaim says in Cain, lama leidet chuke kinuach pimaka lema bebayis lekek shafim. Guys, if that's the case, according to the Magen Avram, that you only have to worry in the field, not the house, why did the Gemara say it's speaking about not wiping your underside, it's speaking wiping a makkah? Why didn't the Gemara simply say typically that problem is in the field? This problem, you can't wipe yourself with a reed in the house. Says Teres Chaim. Why don't you give that as a teres if he's correct? V'loy kashemidi says the Sam Seifa. In those days where the majority was in the fields, asu afil bebayis, would be asu even in the house. Mashain came as manazeh, that everything is in the house, then you don't have to worry about it at all, right? And linyan giloy, okay. So now that's the Aruch HaShulchan says something very interesting. He says that why do we wipe ourselves with manazeh? Paper. Paper is something that fire is shoyled over. Fire burns paper, right? So Bishleim, like the man of Avram, it's you worry about the fields, so very, very good. But if you take this literally, how can we do it with paper? So he says, Shem v'p'sayim Hashem. Hashem watches out for the foolish. Who knew? He says, Shem v'p'sayim Hashem. Hashem watches out for the okay. Anyway, the main things that it seems to be that this really was a din of kishuf and bisman hazel. We're not chayish for these things. Okay, says the Gemara Vaita. Says the Gemara Vaita. Maybe we'll stop here. Okay. Have a good night, everybody.